All right, everybody, let's get started. So, welcome back, everybody. I hope you all had a nice holiday break, and hope nobody got the Rona. But it seems like everybody and their mother, including mine, who told me today she got diagnosed with it, has it or got it. So, hope you all stayed healthy and well. Couple things. Oh, DJ, how was your break?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, we went to see the fam in South Carolina. I got to do, the whole family thing, and yeah, it was fantastic. Didn't get the Rona, got the flu, but that's
Yeah,
next best thing.
I got the vax for that too. So it threw what it had at me, and it got a little bit, but I was okay. I recovered quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, back now.
Good. Well, good. So I'll just throw it out to the group. Who had the most interesting holiday break story? Like, where did you go somewhere interesting? And interesting better not be like, I went to Montana or, Colorado. It's got to be like, I went to Tahiti, that kind of thing. Does anybody have anything interesting? Just throwing it out there.
Bunkered down at home. After son number one got COVID. Had to wait for Christmas.
Greg, did you go somewhere interesting? I saw you pointing to yourself.
I was affirming the hunker down at home.
Oh,
our excitement was a Christmas mass attended by only a few, and a Thanksgiving dinner at the Encinitas Cafe, which has turned into a major civic event. 600 people were served at the little tiny Encinitas Cafe.
Wow.
So it was
600. They must have been wrapped around the block.
Well, they start around noon, and we got there a little after 6 p.m. And it started off as just this little thing where they, for once in their life, they would take reservations. And if anybody knows about the Encinitas Cafe, it is your typical beachfront cafe on the main road there in Encinitas, about 200 feet from the Encinitas sign. The waitresses call you dearie. It's one of those kinds of places. And it's become a civic event. And for us, it's just the two of us, Deb and myself. And so Deb says, I don't want to cook a great big turkey. So what we do is we just go to the Encinitas Cafe. They had, I think they said 48 turkeys that they carved that day and served. By the time we got there, they were up to 600 people. Great fun, great fun. So
Wow.
That's how we spent our Thanksgiving. And then the holidays were very, very quiet, very deliberately so, because all of us around us were singing the COVID theme. And so we just kind of laid low and stayed vaxxed and happy and quiet. It's great.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get things going here. So first thing I want to do is make a couple of announcements to kick things off here. Let me go to my notes here. Here we go. So first thing I'm going to announce, some of you may have noticed, I've got a t-shirt on that has text that's probably familiar to some of you. If you're a longtime Premiere user, can't probably read it, but anyway, it says, what's it say? T-shirt offline, and then it has it in like 20 different 10 different languages here. So a guy that I know from Twitter makes these shirts and sells them. Let me get the link to the website here, and it is videomaker.com store. He's got a whole bunch of different t-shirts from different NLEs. I'll put up in the chat window where his website is, in case anybody's looking at this shirt going, dude, I gotta have that thing. It's right there. The other thing I would talk about real quick is I heard from the folks over at Future Media Conferences. They're doing their remote production conference again. The virtual one is February 4th and 5th. The live one, I guess, they're having a live session that takes place March 4th and 5th. Good luck with that. Hopefully they pull it off. That would be great. But yeah, so we have, for those of you who attended that last year, it was a pretty cool event. I actually went. DJ, I don't know if you went to that or not, or you signed up for any of those remote production conference passes or sessions, but it wasn't too bad. I thought there was a lot of good stuff there. but we have a 20% off discount to sign up. And I will put, let's see, put that in the chat as well. If you are interested in that, I'm going to read you a little thing about that here in just a second. Go back to my blurb here. So it says the Remote Production Conference is a multi-track, multi-day online training conference produced by Future Media Conferences Association with NAB Show and Adobe. Virtual conference will take place February 4th and 5th and will feature live interactive online training sessions along with notable keynotes, networking opportunities, and more. Remote production is essential to everyday normal life. Remote Production Conference gathers industry professionals who have cracked the code and succeeded in creating efficient remote environment, whether you are producing a feature film, documentary, webinar series, podcast, or short form video content for your social media channels. The Remote Production Conference will have the session for you. Yes, I should have done radio commercials. So anyway, it is a pretty cool conference. If you are interested and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will connect you to the folks that run it and they can answer any questions, but definitely check it out. There is a link there where you can sign up for 20% off. And if you want to learn more about the conference itself, I will get you a link to that as soon as I can find one here. Hang on. And I'll put that in the chat pod as well. I think this is the one. Events calendar. Sorry, I probably should have had this Remote Production Conference. Should have had this up and ready. I got everything else ready except this one. Okay. Copy and paste. All right, so everything's in the chat pod for you there. So that is that. DJ, do you have anything going on? Anything you need to talk about before we start?
You got like a day to submit your Emmys. If you're submitting anything to the Emmys, it's due on Saturday. After that, the price goes up for another week because it's considered late. Yeah, so check out natispsw.org for details, or just ask me. I mean, like not right now, but after this.
No, hit him up now. Do it
no,
now.
I need time to prep. I don't know.
For those
I can only keep so much here.
For those of who don't know, what is your title at Natus?
I am the vice president for now, maybe president later. See, but yeah, vice president of Natus. Yeah.
All right. We have a big wig in our presence. We have a vice president, soon to be president. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to take it. I nominate him. I'm not even part of Natus, and I nominate him. All right, enough of the chatter. So let's get on to this meeting. So tonight, we are going to kind of get back after the session we had last year, the final meeting of the year. We got a lot of good feedback from all of you folks, and we appreciate that. And one of the things that we heard from you was that, you know, you kind of missed the tutorial type stuff, actually getting into the apps and learning how to do new stuff. And so DJ and I think for the first time since we've run the group together, and I think the first time ever, like since I've run the group, we actually came up with like an agenda for the year. Like we mapped out the year with like what we're going to talk about each month. Ain't gonna lie to you, there's a lot of times we fly by the seat of our pants. But this year we got it mapped out, and we're going to really focus on getting back into the apps and getting in there and showing you all how to do stuff. So that's our plan for the year. And we're going to kick things off with a little meeting where DJ is going to talk about some cool stuff inside After Effects. And then I'm going to jump into Premiere and show you guys a lot of the new stuff that's in there that you may or may not have heard of or heard about. Or if you did hear about it, maybe you just hadn't really seen it or didn't know how it worked or whatever. So we'll just kind of cover that, and that should be it. So DJ is going to kick things off with some cool stuff in After Effects, and then I'll come in after that. So DJ, take it away.
Hey everybody, how's it going? So something that I've touched on before is there's an entire like coding language in After Effects that makes everything really it's really powerful. It's the reason you can do everything in After Effects. Problem is, A, I don't think anybody's interested. B, even if you are, I can't figure out a good concise way to explain all that. So we're not going to talk about that tonight. But we're going to talk about how you can harness that power easily. So instead of coming up and telling you all the new stuff that's in After Effects, because I think that's going to apply to some people, but a lot of people, you know, at the end of the day, you just want to know how you can make cool stuff fast. So I figured it out. I found this thing about 6 months ago, and I'd played with it once or twice. It's great for kind of project, you know, it's good for projects that you don't necessarily need a super custom look on. So, I'll be the very first project that I had ever worked on it for was a piece for a client that they said, essentially, we need a video. We don't care if it looks good. We just need something to put there. And I was like, cool, let me explore this thing. I also have used it on some stuff for the Padres, kind of the more like it's going to show once and then it's gone forever kind of things, where you don't necessarily need to go in and hand keyframe and, make it really super custom, but it is customizable and it's super powerful. It's a thing called Animation Composer. So Animation Composer is an extension that you can think sort of like a plugin that you can put into After Effects, and it's completely free out of the box. And it comes prepackaged with some presets that you can use. And ultimately it just takes like all those sucky presets that After Effects gives you, and it gives you good presets. It is essentially what it does, but it gives you a lot more presets. And then for like $40, and it's usually around $20 on Black Friday. They have a few sales throughout the year where they give you like 40% off or something. You can buy packs. So I've bought quite a few packs because I found these things to be pretty powerful. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you what we're working with. So let's see, I'll show. Yeah, we'll just. All right. So it's right here in this little area. Everybody can see? Cool. Okay. So the way that you get to it, if it's not, you install it, you come down here, you can come over to Window and in Extensions. It's going to be under here as Animation Composer. No, sorry. It's going to be, where is it? Oh, it's going to be right here. There is a version in Premiere that I'll show you in a little bit. I haven't used it as much, but it's under Extensions. But in After Effects, it's just under Window and here. All right. So before we dive too far into all the cool things it does, it comes with 3 extra tools. I'm only going to show you one because honestly, I can describe what they do, but I don't know how to use them because I don't use them that way. So if you've done too much work in After Effects, you might have worked with a shape layer like this. You might have taken a shape and you're like, all right, now I need a square. Cool. Now you want to rotate it. Oh, it's rotating from a stupid spot. I just want it to rotate like a normal square should rotate. What do I do? And it's because the anchor point is here when it should be here. And that's the point, that's anchored to and drives where the animation is happening from. All right, so the way that you usually have to do that is you press Y, you bring up the pan behind tool, and then you're like, all right, it's somewhere in here, and that sucks. So now what it does is it puts this little piece, I've anchored it down here, but it's also under Window, and then anchor point tool is, Animation Composer anchor point mover, can be right there. All you do, boom, and now it's in the center. And it saves, I use this probably, I keep it here because I use this thing probably 50 times a day. Like I'm constantly doing it. All right, so let's say you're like, okay, that's cool and all, but I don't want it at the center. I want it at the bottom. Yay. Or if you want it in the corner, you kind of see where we're going with this. This could get repetitive if I go around the box. So that's like, that's worth, and that's free. That's included in Animation Composer's main thing. The other 2 pieces, and I'll pull them up from here, are Keyframe Wingman, which brings up over here. The Keyframe Wingman is going to let you change your eases. And that's how you ease in and ease out in a way that's, I'll be honest, don't do this. Don't use it this way. It's just not good. Either use the graph editor or use the stuff they have prepackaged or find a different way, because it's just not a great way to do it. Transition shifter is awesome, and you'll see why in a little bit, but this allows you to shift the transitions forward and backward and align to playhead and a few different things. And you'll see shortly why that's important, okay? So, okay, what is Animation Composer? It brings up this window where you have your presets of motion presets, starter presets, text presets, pre-comps, sounds, and then a user library where you can make your own. And then there's some other stuff down here. This is like their sales and marketing area where you can go to it's run by a company called Mr. Horse. And if you're interested in it, I shared only this screen. So I realized that you didn't see it when it was up earlier, but it's at mrhorse.com. And so you can pick it up there, download it there. And they've got a little manager like every program does now.
Is it related to Mr. Ed?
No, it's not related to Mr. Ed. I do like to think that it's related to BoJack though. So yeah, they're a little actually yeah, they're a little like icon dude is like a BoJack ripoff. So I like that because I like BoJack. Anyway, so that said, go to mrhorse.com to get it. All right, so let's hop into the motion presets first, and let's actually start with a different composition. We're just gonna make some goofy kind of blue background. And let's say that we want some. All right, and then we want some text in there just to.
By the way, that's spelled Mr. Mister horse, as I just found out, not
Yes.
MR horse.
And I am
MR
not.
horse brought up a whole nother website I don't want to talk about.
I was gonna say I don't want to. I can't be held liable for anything that is on MR horse.
I think I got spam from them a couple times. It's really
Okay.
bad.
There was a store at Myrtle Beach when I was growing up that was MR Ducks, MR not Ducks, MR something else, CM Wangs. Anyways, it's weird Southern joke, but I digress. All right, so we've got hello, but we want to make it do something, and you don't want to take the time to go in and keyframe it because this job is paying like $200. All right, so all we do is we can come in now for text presets. You can come down here, transitions, and you can animate by character. And it even and it's got a little library here that shows you what each one does. So all you got to do is double click it, and let's see what it did. All right, so I picked the ugliest one, but like let's just hang in there to see. All right, so you can see what it did was it put markers at the in and the out, and then it changed and it turned opacity red, and it turned character offset red, and it created some animators. All right. For all intents and purposes, don't worry about what it did in here. Because if you dial it in, you see that this is that big long coding stuff that I was telling you that it does. And you don't need to know about that because that's difficult. What you do need to know is that the time that it's going to take to do the transition is from the endpoint right here to this marker. And that's how long that's going to take. So if you want it to happen over a less period of time, let's say you want it to happen in 1 second. You just shift it, and you can just drag these around all day. That's what transition shifter is also going to come in for here. You can select your layer, and then you can, and then it's going to change the endpoint, but it's going to shift it around so that you can do it that way. So that's the reason I said that the transitions would matter. And you can apply it only to, if you need to come in here and remove it, you can remove it. Let's remove it because like I said, I chose a bad one. One that I use pretty frequently, even on projects that are that things are going pretty well, is what is it? Let's see. Is this one? I just think it is an effective way to bring text up. And you'll see that it's going to be doing it from the alignment point. So we're going to make sure that it's centered, and you're going to want to make sure that your paragraph is centered. Alignment centered again. And anchor point, there we go. And it just does a quick little animation on each of the pieces. Now, if you need to change that in, you can change the scale, you can shift the transition here, you can change the tracking amounts. So if you really want to exaggerate it, you can crank this up to something absurd, and it's going to come in from really far. And then you can shift it around, and if you want it to take 6 seconds to come on, boom. All right. But you might not want to treat it. I mean, maybe none of these are feeling it. Maybe you just want to have it simple fade. So you can come over here to 2Z transition, simple fade, just press in, done. You don't need to keyframe. You don't need to keyframe your opacity. It's just a click, you're done. You don't have to get in there and like press T because T is for opacity, because that's good spelling, I suppose. And so you can look in here at the 2D transitions, and you've got blurs and fades, and you have variations on each one. For example, since we were just looking at the fades, let's take a look. We've got blur in and out, and it'll show you what it is. But then if you want it slightly fast, this one's slightly slower. It's just a slower fade. So you're not just stuck with one kind of animation pattern, or, and it's not just a slower fade. It's the way that the easing is done. Easing is essentially, without going too far into it, easing is how the animation moves. I'm going to see if I can pull up an example real fast, just to show in GIF form or something. Okay, this will get you there. You're not able to see that. Let me share my screen again. And share screen. There we go. So sharing is, you may have seen it. It's all about essentially where, if the ball's moving across the screen, instead of being an equidistant between each frame, it starts out slow, it's fast through the middle, and then it slows into position. Every move is going to be like that to some degree. This one starts out fast, it slows into position. And opacity can do the same thing, to where most of the fade is in the first half of the move, and that's kind of the difference between these. Is it's just slightly different variations on because remember, you can change the duration of any of these. It's just the way that it fades, and I think that that's going to become more apparent when you look at position. So you can look at the eases, and if you watch Mr. Horse come up and down, they're just slightly different variations of it. So now with our hello selected, we can click and then give it a second. And then because we clicked it, we just double clicked it, it applied it to the end too. Boom. And so if we really wanted to kind of get it up and down, and we could do this with our shifter too, but I'm just being, so the whole move now would be, and you just did that with just a couple clicks. If you really, and you could do it even with less clicks. If you just took, let's say that the whole piece is going to be 5 seconds, you trim your layer here. Oh, now it's, and back down. And you can stack, like I said, you can stack those, but you really don't typically need to stack them, just because when you look at it in 2D transitions, you've got blur, fade, warp, you've got fade in position, fade, position, scale. For some reason, the rotation ones, like they kind of get put in weird places, like rotation scale is not up with scale. It's, the way they group them, but there's pretty much a good variation for anything you're going to want to do. 3D transitions include 3D text layers. So if you look in here, it's going to be, let's say that, and this is one that people ask all the time, at least me to do. And it says it only applies to a 3D layer. Would you like to convert it to from a 2D layer to a 3D layer? Yes. If you didn't know how to do that, because I just forgot, it's just click. You just have to click it right here, but this did it for me. So now we see there's our animation. And it's boom. And I don't have to go in and, it's not, none of these acts in and of itself take more than 15, 20 seconds. But when you start getting into some of these that are on here, like fade, position, rotation, fade, position, scale, like it is, and to get it to ease and look the way that they kind of have it set up, it's just easier to do it this way. Some of the starter presets it's going to have, in here, the starter ones are the ones that comes automatically free. But then there's other things that you can do. It's not just about the motion of pieces. It's also about, some of these are some of the purchase things, but let's say that, your client comes back and they're like, we don't like this blue thing. We want something far more exciting for the background. So now you have this loopable, you have this background that you can drag out forever. So you just go in here right now, it's set to 6 seconds, but let's say that they want a minute of it. They come in here, you're going to select all your layers, you're going to drag them out. And because it's driven with expressions, it's just going to sit there and pulsate, and you could make this an hour long. You could make this, it's moving, it's going to be moving slow, particularly because I've got quite a few things open, as you can see. But it's, you've got this nice pulsate that's going to go on for, a minute long, 2 minutes long. Like I said, if God help us, if you have it going on for an hour, you can. And then you can come up here and they're like, this is great, but our colors are not blue and orange. You can come up here and you can change all the colors that you want. So you can change it to greens. You can change it, you can do whatever you need to here. You can change the rotation, the entire piece, so that you're getting, something a little different. You can change the positions, flow scale as well, so that you're kind of getting this cool vibe. And then the noise is going to kind of be like a grain, something along those lines, so that you can kind of build your own custom look in just you know, and it created all of that. It's on the controller right there. You don't have to touch anything, you know. And then you just pop back out of this into the comp one. There's your background, and you can do with it what you want. And it's awesome. All right, so you've got a bunch of different backgrounds from, these are the flow ones. They kind of look very painterly. Geometric
Hey,
is,
DJ, Jeff had a question about, can you change the thickness of the shape layers?
yeah, so in this, that's going to be a lot of the flow scale kind of pieces. You're going to get a little different look. Each individual piece, probably not, but you could definitely, like, you know, I'll say two things. You probably could. Like you could probably put an adjustment layer up here and a matte choker and play with that way. The second thing, that's not how you should use this thing. Like this, you know, if you're needing to be more custom, either find something like, because this is just one of the flows. Like this, they're not all the same. So if you can't find something that gets you close, maybe you need to build it. You know, this is the way that I see it, because and I'll tell you why in just a second. But like, this is for the things that you don't have the time or the budget to make something super custom. So you're getting something in the ballpark. You know, this is when the client needs something that's kind of close, that kind of thing. And the reason for that is when you start looking in here at different pieces, like there's a lot of the stuff that's going to be controlled by, you know, different, for example, the position of the lens is going to be, that's looped out from here. So this one's actually not one of the, you know, worst ones, but yeah, I mean, you could get in here and start playing with that. But anytime anything's held together with expressions, that's the reason if you've ever opened up a template and you're like, everything sucks to change. It's all tied together with expressions, and it's not as simple as changing one thing and it makes that change. So yeah, you probably could, particularly on this one. I'm actually surprised with how straightforward this one is. But yeah, it's just, I wouldn't use it in that case. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. But as you know, as you can see, there's like quite a bit of variation in them. So if you did want something like here, you've got them pretty chunky. This is smaller. This is super tiny. You know, you've got a little less going on in here. So there's kind of a size that you could probably make work. But like I said, I mean, if you were like dead set on this one and they're like, we just want it a little bit smaller, then what I would probably do is try something like throw a matte choker on it and see if this works. I don't know what's about to happen. So. Not a whole lot. Yeah, it's not doing too much. We could try a simple choker. But yeah, it's going to work on the whole piece. So yeah, I mean, but that would be essentially the way. But then they've, you know, but moving on, we've got like the geometric patterns, which are much more kind of straight. You know, you've got your diamond, you've got your circles, you know, that kind of thing. I don't use these backgrounds a whole lot just because I don't get a whole lot of requests for super custom, I mean, for non-custom kind of stuff like this, but I think that it's you know, as something to be able to drag in, like I think it's fantastic. You've got your liquid ones, which are basically the flow ones with a little bit of sheen to them. And you know, you can also use these for mortises. You can use them as, particularly some of these liquid ones, you would probably be able to use. This one I think was the black and white one. You'd be able to use this as a displacement map. A lot of cool stuff in there. Texture and then typography as well. Typography is going to ask you what text you want for it, and you're going to be able to kind of loop this kind of thing to where you can. Let's just hop in. So right now it's just saying Mr. Horse, but let's see where we would put in the text is going to be. The text is actually going to be, if I remember correctly. Great. Title line is, these are the sizes, text rotation. I don't know. It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, so you just change it in the actual text layer itself. Okay, sometimes they have they'll have it in here where you can edit the pieces. It'll be in there, but in this case, you actually just change the text layer. But here you can also change all those pieces. You can change the title line. You can change how many lines of text are going to be duplicated, and it's it's pretty powerful in that way. Then you get into the thing that you guys have seen. I'm going to hop I'm going to skip over essential typography for just a second because it's the thing that everybody's seen like 1,000 times. And now you're going to know where it came from. So these are the filmmaker's transitions. And you're going to recognize all of these because they're in everything and it's a little crazy. I think there's one in camera zoom that I think is a good one. So it's essentially you just double click it. You just double click. The pre-comp contains the footage by default. Don't know what that means. Let's try again. Oh, I'm not hitting add. Oh, I've not saved my project. I'm working out of a thing. That's my bad. Because so what this will you will need to save stuff because it does build a folder for a few different items. So just so now we go into, and I should read things as they pop up. So now you just click the button, it imports, and you've got this cool little transition that does its thing. You can change the center of it. You can change the blur amount as it goes in. You can change the color distortion because if you saw, you're getting a little bit of like that chromatic aberration as we come in. Then there's, and then you can change the color distortion so that maybe it's, using your brand colors or whatever it may be. And there's a ton of different ones. The zooms are the ones you see a lot. You kind of got this cool camera shake thing too. Camera rotates. And all of it, you just kind of double click. And what it does is you want to center it on the cut. So that time I didn't, but it's just a matter of getting it back over there. And it does the whole thing for you. And if you want it to take less time, you just, same as before, you just drag out. There you go. Now it's going to be a much faster transition. And if you wanted to go forever, it'll go on forever. But one of the nice things about it, and you can see it in kind of the zooms and some of the other pieces, is that it does it'll do all of the, if you see it does all the duplication for you so that there's, you're not running into a situation where there's any seams or that kind of thing. There's, it's all there. You've got zooms, you got parent, different camera moves, and you come down here to creative. And you've got kind of got these stretches and pixely transitions. You kind of got your glitch stuff for for pieces that might want that. I recently used this on, on a piece I did for the Raiders, and they were like, "What is that? That looks awesome." I'm like, "Haha, it's the special sauce, the free little thing." But yeah, so I totally recommend it. And a lot of times it'll add it'll come with a sound effect that it'll add for you. You can always turn it off. But in this case, and this one's pretty intensive. I don't know if the sounds come through, but it gives you like this, and you can change the color of the noise. You can change, all the different things. So super fantastic in that end. Then you got light leaks, and you can choose from generated light leaks and organic light leaks, matte transitions. So if you just need some kind of wipey stuff, you can change this, or this kind of stuff where it's blocks across or curve across. There's a little with tail, some shape layer stuff. So if you wanted like circles across or something. And again, you can change all of these colors. You can change, duration, you can change all that kind of stuff. Then you come down into shape elements out of the, sorry. And then there's the split screens, which are just a little bit nicer than some of the split screens that are, the pre-made stuff. Then you come down to shape elements. Like this is one that I don't think I've bought a whole lot of shape elements because I just wouldn't use them. I never get asked to do this kind of thing, but it's, if you need arrows drawn on, fantastic. You got little pulsating pieces, custom durations of arrows, badges, and all of this is just a simple drop. You got, if you need something that's a little badge that's, so think about it, you can easily kind of come in, you got a badge here. Let's just put a little like number 1. Let's make it a color that we'll be able to see. Okay, that's an @1, but let's just go with it because it doesn't really matter. And you're going to copy that into this. And you just want to copy that into Go Global Transition. And now you got this cool little thing that doesn't scale with it because I'm a liar. It's gonna scale with it here. No, it doesn't. What am I going to do? It's going to be on the badge. There we go. And see, that's the thing is it's when you start doing it, it's all a matter of where the expression's pointed to. But now you've got it built and you're little like you can say that you're number one, or in this case, at one, whatever. You've got lines. I use these on speed lines a lot too. I use this on the Raiders thing. There was you come down here to 3 lines. Verse straight, and then line 3. And yeah, I think I used this one as speed lines as the Raiders logo was moving away. Line comment, kind of got a little bit of a tail on it. Lines, dash, zigzags. Then you can get in some ornamental elements. You kind of got your little infinity sign, your little hula danders. You put a bunch of these together. I'm going to turn off sound because it's really distracting. But each one's got a little swoosh that goes with it. But it's just little elements, and like, I'll be honest, like one of these by itself, probably not great, but you could start building these in to kind of create a nice little techie vibe. Or if you're working on a thing for a solar company and they want some green growing leaves, like this is a lot faster. This kind of animation, it would take me 45 minutes, an hour. Like it's not super fast, and you're going to be able to do it in just a minute with kind of a drag and drop. Rectangles, your basic kind of drawn scales up, stroke rectangles, filled rectangles, all of it customizable, stars, triangles, custom shapes. You got your likes, got your hearts, got your, they try to keep up with the general social ones. These are the fixed duration things, so you can't change the durations of these so much, but it's just little swipes on there for speed, there for, little just accent elements. You've got your fireworks. Most of these have something up here that's under customizable too. And maybe not fireworks, but a lot of them do. And this is for little pops that you get all the time, glitter, all that kind of junk. Impact, same way. So it's basically just a way to drag and drop stuff on. I mean, you can go to their website and you can see what all these are, but yeah, Trails is another one that's pretty good. You can kind of get some cool little particle things, and you can change what those particles are. So you could have your client's logo come out as a little burst if that you were so intended. The textures. So if you want something cool, you can throw these kind of little pieces on, and instead of trying to animate a texture and go in and like photographing paper dots and making like 3 different versions of it, you just drop it on and you got a wood texture that's doing stuff. You've got brush textures. I use this for the 2020 Emmy nominations piece, and it looked really nice. Like it totally worked. It's just kind of you play with it, it's just kind of an animated brush stroke, and it totally gets the job done. They've got animated, and then if you're like, well, this is way too much, they've got static ones as well, so that you can just throw it up there. It's good. So the way that you use that, just, let's go back to our little blue. Let's go over here. You're like, all right, I want to give that like a organic feel for whatever reason. Why you put an organic piece on this, I do not know, but hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to help you out. You can put it as an add, which isn't going to help. You can put it as a multiply. And then it's going to only give the darks. You can a little bit, maybe throw it on as an overlay. Yeah, so you're starting to get a little of that texture, but not too much of it. And then as you're going, it's just going to bring a little bit of life into the parts. And I don't know if it's really coming through because it's chugging a little bit on it, but it just gives a little bit of life to it. And you can change the intensity, you can rock the palette up and down, that kind of thing. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of life. You can also flip it if you did want to do the ad that I was talking about. And that way it'll look, kind of like it's been whitewashed. Quite whitewashed. But, same thing. It just kind of gives you a little, you can break it up a little bit. I'm being subtle because, me, I love subtlety. But there, whatever. But yeah, so you get your brushes in there. The brushes are really nice because like I've had to like hand make these before, and it takes a long time. Same with grunge. You just kind of get some of these dirty little like backgrounds, and it's just nice because like instead of making 5 different Illustrator files that you're then looping, like you can make it fast, you can make it slow, you can make it static. And these aren't just ways of music in the 90s. You've got some graph paper, stone, steel, some weird different things, and then placeholders, which I've never used, but apparently you can put your your stuff there. And then the last thing is the essential typography groupings, and that's like it's like templates for people that don't want to use templates. So let's say that you're working on this travel piece, and let's say that they want let's just do text because why not? So it's just little ways of creating a nice little text element. It's got all the tracking and information. So it comes up here. Yeah, comes up Mr. Horse. So we hop into it, and it kind of has the pre-built in there. Let me turn off this. So it's got it pre-built in there. What things we can change? We can change the color, the text correction, all that kind of stuff. And then for this, we just could put in, and it keeps the formatting so that when we have it, I'm just gonna turn this off so you can see it better. So now it's, and it's just it's a nice little text thing. You don't have to create it. There's type-ons. You've got lower thirds in here that are pre-built. So you don't have to go in and, they're not going to be like wowing anybody, but like, this isn't that. This is for, pretty quick and dirty kind of stuff. And I'm really like, lower thirds shouldn't wow anybody. They're lower thirds. They're not that exciting. They're just for saying names. It's just about information and infographic. Sorry. That said, you've got something for quotes. And actually we ended up using this straight out the box. I put it in as just a placeholder when we were working on the Atlantic Fest, and we ended up keeping it because it's, and that's the thing, is a lot of these things are they're actually just good. It's motion design. After Effects is not about reinventing the wheel. It's just about making cool stuff. So if this is what works from the situation, you need to come up with a little Facebook thing. I know I get these things all the time. I'm like, oh, let me go find the Instagram logo or whatever. Like they've updated and the packs update so that if Instagram comes and changes their logo, give it a week or so, but they'll typically update it and get you the new stuff in there so that you don't have to look around for it too much. Yeah, and then there's text boxes here. You've got your text boxes that do this kind of stuff. And then you've got them rounded 3 lines and call outs and long text. And if you want the call outs, you could track these onto things, and you've got an awesome little piece. Yeah, it just kind of goes on and on. There's just a lot of options in here. And I would say that throughout all of the, I've bought a few packs, but through all the Black Friday sales, I don't think I've spent over $80 with this company. And I got all this stuff, and it's I can guarantee you that if you do this stuff as a job and you do get questions about this stuff, you'll save, it pays for itself in one project, because even if you're not using the Black Friday deal, these things are $40, and it'll save you an hour or two easy, just from having to build little things in there. So yeah, it's great. The textures are awesome. They also have a sound pack that I buy it? I didn't think I bought it. Maybe I bought it. Oh no, okay. It's too few. But yeah, and it's just so if you need a little bass hit, it's got 200 sounds or something in it. I don't do enough sound work to have warranted it. I thought I did for a minute. I was like, ooh, someone got excited on Black Friday. But it's it's just got a little beeps and blasts and different things that you can kind of use to accent your stuff. And it's nice. It's just a nice little thing. You can also create your own things and save them into a user library. That's not how I do it, but you can do it. They've got instructions how to do it. So if you do something, you're like, that's awesome, I want to use that forever. Yeah, go for it. You can do that. Hop over really briefly. This is over here in Premiere. So remember how I said go up to Window, Extensions, and it is Premiere Composer for some reason. So Premiere Composer, it does not have everything that Animation Composer does. And I think they're sold separate. I'm not sure because I didn't buy 2 copies of backgrounds, but it's got all the backgrounds. So if you don't want to go into After Effects to do the whole thing, you can just pop a background over here. And then you've still got, I don't know about all of the same things, but it looks like you, in this case, at least you have all the same things to choose from. So you're in, you're in a great position. If you don't need anymore, you just delete it, no big deal. But yeah, you've got all the different backgrounds in the backgrounds pack. There's essential typography, the same thing. So you don't have to go in and, the text tool, even the new one, it's better, but I don't love it. Maybe I don't use it enough. But you've got some cool kind of text stuff in here to where it comes in and oh yeah, gotta put text in there. That would be helpful. But yeah, you put the text in. Oh, I'm missing the font too. Oh no. Let's just go out and then typography pack. All right. Why did it show? Why didn't it do that? It's because it was unnecessary for me to actually pull it in. That's why. I don't know. But it's got all the text pieces in here. Like I said, I don't use it in Premiere. I know people that do, they love it. I don't know why that didn't work, but you guys don't need to watch me futz around with it for a bit. They've also got some other customizable packs, customizable duration packs on shape elements for if you need things drawn on, like they have an office pack, that's like office tools, printers, that kind of thing. And it's all trim pathed on and it's that cool animation style that you see. I don't use that kind of, but it's there. So yeah, so it's in Premiere as well. You've got your shapes, you've got your text presets. I don't think the transitions come over, and maybe that's just because they use stuff that maybe it's just using stuff that Premiere can't do. But yeah, it's cool, and you should check it out because I think it's very useful.
Have you tried making one of the transition comps into a Mogert to take it into Premiere?
No, I mean I'm sure you should be able to because it's referencing in that way. But the Mogert stuff, I make them a lot and I try to avoid it only because there's nothing wrong with the Mogert system. But inevitably, every time I send someone one, they say, well, I can't get it to work right. The text is doing something weird because it seems unless you're creating it on the same After Effects and the same Premiere, it's not guaranteed to be super friendly. And just leads to, I spend the same time answering questions that I would be just to make it and send it out. So that's just me, and that's, I don't fault Adobe for that. I think that's, just the way it's going to be, but yeah. But I don't see why it wouldn't work. It should be fine.
And according to their website, they do have transitions for Premiere. I mean, I see transitions listed there under starter pack. And if you go 1, 2, 3 down, there's transitions.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if those are the same transitions or not. Yeah.
Oh, one thing that I didn't say was like, okay, so I was showing you guys like these, but it does also have, you can change from bottom left, bottom right. And that's the same way in After Effects too. Like anytime it's got an arrow down, you can have it rotate different directions. You can have it do different, so it's not just, you're not just kind of locked into that one move or having it come in from one direction or whatever. As far as like on their website, I can't imagine since these are here, I can't imagine they wouldn't let you bring like more kind of high, a little bit more high end, transitions in, because this is kind of a paltry sum, but I don't know. I've never done it.
Well, I mean, you sold me on the text transitions because I'm, listen, I'll admit it. I'm man enough to say it. I'm still using on occasion those transition packs that have been in After Effects since, I don't know, 2010, 2011, whenever they shipped that transition pack, or not transition pack, text animation pack. And so, yeah, I think anything that can, get me some good, just simple sort of, presets that look new and that are a little bit more modern, that I don't have to save me the time. I'm all about that. So.
Yeah, I mean, and let's just hop in over real quick and see. Like, so they've got the typography pack. They've got transitions for Premiere. So maybe that's the one that I have. I can't imagine. Okay, so yeah, they've got the same. It looks like they've got the same filmmakers transition because there's some of these weird, twirly zoomy things that were going on in After Effects that I don't have. So yeah.
I mean, things like this are just phenomenal because it so many of those little things that you're talking, like all those things right there. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, like, first of all, I'm no designer, I'm no DJ, and so I can't do any of that stuff. But being able to, just drop on something like that just adds a little bit of pop to your projects. And if it, having that right there, just to drag on, put it there, and it gives it that little bit of extra, polish, dude, that it pays for itself after the first couple of uses.
Yeah. And this is, I'm going to see, yeah, these are some of the icons that like they have. I mean, if you work in kind of explainery videos a lot, you're going to use these government ones. You're going to use, this kind of stuff like all the time. And it's nice because instead of having just the icon, if you look, like each of the windows is scaling up, the cross is scaling up separately. It's just a little bit more polished than like, oh, dirt, I did the thing and now it comes up. It's just a little. And here's here's this essential sound pack. It's got 1,000 of the most useful sounds, such as beep and knock and whistle and vroom. So that's cool. I mean, there's that. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually like a pretty big fan. Like I know the Padres were the ones that ended up introducing me to it, and they use it frequently. There's an editor's bundle for 300. If you hang out until, and Black Friday, and it was a long way away, but they do the summer sale. If you hang out for a bit, I'm sure they'll offer a low one. And also, like, you probably don't need all that. Like that's, get what you need when you need it, and you're going to be getting, you're going to be spending no more than like $40 at a time, like $50 here and there. The text presets for everything that you just saw is $60 right now, and that's the most expensive it's going to be. The motion presets, and it comes with some of them. I mean, you out of the box, it's got the starter content, it's got the anchor point thing. So, and I have no affiliation with this. I just think it's great, and I think that it's really nice for people who maybe don't know After Effects so well to be able to get in and start using the power of After Effects without having to learn like this thing. So yeah, the essential typography that has all the different lower thirds and stuff, $79. Those transitions are $50. And that's the reason you see them on everything. I saw it on the I was at Monster Fest. Monster Fest used a couple of these zooms on their little like highlight videos. Yeah, then they've got your shape elements. This is After Effects stuff, but you've got this cool kind of cartoony look, backgrounds and textures, animated illustrations. Sound effects. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Very nice. Any questions for DJ? Oh, Marshall had a question about how many packages have you gotten now? Maybe you answered that already.
I would have to look actually, because I'm not 1,000% sure, but like if I scroll down, oh, and that actually reminded me. Thank you, Marshall, for asking, not because it's related, but because it's related. While I'm looking, the one thing I'll say is I have a client that they make cloud training videos, really dry videos, and they ended up wanting to use a lot of this stuff. And so these are the ones that I own. There's the starter pack, motion presets, text presets. They use a lot of these. If you make like let's say that you're making like a 30-minute long video, okay, and you just make a party out of this. If it's like if you have a PowerPoint that you're like, I'm going to make this PowerPoint fancy. Just know that expressions can be a little render intensive. Not one, not two. Like you could put 10 of these on a video, you're going to be fine. But if you're doing a 30-minute video that's just chock full of them, you're going to notice it's going to render slower. Just because instead of it being a fixed keyframe thing, it is math that it has to compute to figure out the move, and it's just a little bit more intensive. Like I've made some that even on my like really powerful system, again, we're talking about like a 30-minute video, but it'll take 5 hours to render. And that being said, I might have used 200 to 300 effects on of this kind of effect on it, in addition to maybe some particles. I mean, but it's just it's a 10% more 10 to 20% more intensive on your render than just keyframing it would be. But it's also 80% saving your time in the case of not. So
All right. Any last questions for DJ?
I have to say thank you to DJ, because having been somebody to spend a lot of time with Apple products with Motion and Final Cut, Motion has a lot of those built in, a lot of those effects. and be able to find this in After Effects and be able to do this in After Effects just will make my life a whole lot easier, because I don't go into motion anymore because you can't keyframe in motion easily. So I do everything in After Effects. So thank you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to hear that. Happy it's gonna be useful. So,
Very nice. Any last things for DJ? All right. Let me actually click over to the Facebook stream and yeah, no, we're good over there. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, DJ. That was awesome. You sold me. I'm going to go to mrhorse.com and buy my stuff tomorrow. Well, actually, I might wait since you talked about the sale. So I would think they'd probably have like a sale around NAB time. I mean, that seems as most people do.
they do pretty frequent sales. Like it's not unheard of. And also a lot of times, like if you go over to AE Scripts, I think they're the ones that have them. Like they're a reseller. So if AE Scripts is doing a deal, you probably get it through there. It's
Yeah.
a middle party. So.
Yeah. It's always good to wait if you can. So
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let me share my screen here. And I think I need to, let's see, share my screen here. Let's just share everything here. Let's go to Premiere. And I need to make sure that I can do the audio thing. And I got to remember how to do that. Advanced sharing. Oh, nuts. All right, where are the Zoom folks who remember how to do, wait, never mind. I think I found it. Share sound. There we go. All right. So just so I know this is working, can everybody hear my wife's voice?
Way that most people.
Okay, good. All right. So let's talk about some stuff in Premiere. So some of this stuff you might have heard about, like I mentioned, some of the stuff you might have kind of heard about, but haven't really seen in action or aren't using yet. All of this stuff is in the latest version of Premiere, which is 22.1.2. But before I get started, I want to kind of give a warning about this latest version. So they issued an update right just before the holiday break, which is 22.1.1 of Premiere, and it broke a number of plugins, a lot of Red Giant stuff, Sapphire plugins, Red Giant Universe, which is something that I use for transitions and effects, didn't work at all. And Adobe was pretty quick about getting a fix out within like a week. I mean, it came out just days before the holiday shutdown, and it fixed all of the plugin issues except Red Giant Universe. So if you use Red Giant Universe, which I don't know how many people here do, I use it for a lot of things. But if you do use it, just know that is still broken, unfortunately, in this version. I guess whatever Adobe broke, they broke it pretty bad, and Red Giant and Adobe have not been able to figure that out yet. Now, version 22, everything works fine, but you don't have some of these new features. So if you need to go back to that version, then to use Red Giant Universe, some of the stuff might not be in there yet. So just wanted to kind of give you that warning up front. So, but let's talk about a couple things here. So first thing we're talk about is workspaces. In the latest version, which is 21.1.1 or 2.2, they've added a new workspace, and that workspace is captions and graphics. And if you select that, so this is sort of my default workstation, or workspace, I should say. Let me fix this here. Let's see, well, this actually isn't my default. Let me do this. Reset workspaces, reset to save layout. This is the way I normally like to work when I'm working on my laptop. But they've added this new workspace here, caption and graphics. So if we click on it, what it will do is reset everything. And so this is really a workspace designed for when you're doing text, transcription, captions, graphics. They really sort of put everything here. So you've got your essential graphics panel here, you've got your text panel here. And in the text panel now, you've got transcript, captions, and graphics. So we're going to kind of cover all of those things. I'm going to cover the transcribing here. I think most of you have seen this by now. Just out of curiosity, let me call up some folks here. How many people have used the transcribe feature in Premiere so far? Okay. Well, let me kind of just go over it real quick here, just so you can kind of see it in action here. And one thing I was going to mention too is right now, the way transcribe works in this version is it takes your audio, it uploads it to the Adobe mothership cloud, Adobe Sensei, whatever it is, does the transcribing, and then zaps it back down to your computer. In beta, right now, they are testing transcribing on your system itself. So it does not need to go up to the cloud, which means that transcribing will be a lot faster. The accuracy is sort of the question, is how accurate is it going to be, because it's got to do it all internally and the library can only be so big. And so there is that. I think that's what they're kind of working out all the bugs and the kinks on. But yeah, that is actually in beta right now. And it hopefully will be coming soon to have it all, on the system itself. So, but for those of you who haven't really seen this and how cool it is, so this is a shot of my beautiful wife Jill giving some presentation that I had to film for her.
Video is the way that most people prefer to receive information online today, and the numbers back that up. So let's take a look at some statistics.
Yes, let's. So let's transcribe this real quick. So all I got to do is I've got this short little sequence. We'll click transcribe. This is your little dialog box here. You've got your audio on track. I'm going to choose the mix track, but if I had multiple audio tracks, I could say just choose which audio track I wanted. I'm speaking English here, so I want that. I'm not doing an in to out point, but if you wanted only a section, you could select that to get that section done. And then if you have multiple speakers, you can choose to try to recognize those different speakers. And when it gives you the transcription, it'll say speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, or however many you have. So let's do the transcribe here. This is pretty short, so it shouldn't take too long. See how fast it works here in real time. It says a few seconds remaining. And we'll test its accuracy. We'll see how good you really are. So far, it's always been pretty accurate, I have to say. I'm always surprised at how dead on it is, even with some of the tougher words. All right, so let's see how it did here.
Video is the way that most people prefer to receive information online today, and the numbers back that up. So let's take a look at some statistics. 72%. When video and text are both available on the same page, 72% of consumers prefer video to learn about a product or service.
Huh. Did you all know that? I didn't know that. Didn't really care either. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It got it 100% right. So that's awesome. So a couple things here. So you can see over here, it doesn't know who's speaking, but that's okay. I can say edit speakers, and I can change that name to no, that won't work. I love my wife. Okay, so so I've got that. And so if I had more speakers, I could change all the names and those would all be there. Also, if I come over here, this was a feature that I really wanted, and I was very happy to see them include export text file. And if I click that, it'll want to know where to save it. So let's just save it to the desktop. Save. And I don't know if it opens it up automatically, but let's see if I can call it up here real quick. Okay, so you can see here, it's got the name and it has time code, which the first version of transcribe did not have. So now it actually gives you the time code of those spoken words. And I forget exactly how it breaks it up, but it does break it up so it's not like one continuous block. So that's great for people like myself who often send out transcripts with time code, to have the producers create scripts and give me a paper edit of their video with time code and sound bites and stuff. So, I used to have to send this out to either a transcription house or even, God help me, rev.com with their lame timestamp method. It's not even real time code. And then from that, I would, put together a paper cut, but I don't have to pay them anymore because now I can do it here. and with, pretty good results. So that's a really nice addition to the transcribe feature. This feature is really kind of coming along. I think there's still a few things I would like to see them do with it. But overall, I'm extremely happy with it. It's really, for what we're paying, which is nothing to have the transcription done right now. I mean, how do you beat that? So one thing I wanted to mention too, if you didn't already know this, you can still, you can create your captions, and that is such an amazing, easy thing to do. It's literally just clicking captions. You get a little dialog box here, and it's all just style, your format and things like that. Would like to have a batch mode. Oh yeah, that would be kind of nice. I wouldn't mind having a batch mode too. That would be a good addition. I agree. But yeah, just clicking create and creating captions. Let's see how long it takes here. Boom. I mean, it was that fast.
Video is the way that most people prefer to.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I have to do captions for clients, and it used to be, depending upon the length of the video, sometimes I would make these things by hand if I couldn't afford to have SRT files made. And, it'd take you half a day sometimes to, if it's a long video or it's a number of videos, whatever. I mean, how fast was that? So, that's just amazing to me. So anyway, so that is the transcribe feature. That's creating captions. I think I covered this before, but if everybody doesn't know this, you can easily change the way the captions look just by going, selecting them all. I can put a little text box around them. I'll just kind of show you this for people who haven't seen this yet. I can change my font. Let's change this to whatever this is. And I can make it bigger, the font bigger, smaller, is whatever I need to do. I can change where I want it to be simply just by clicking here. So, this tool is so easy and so powerful in getting stuff like that done now. So it's really pretty remarkable. So, so that's captions. So let's move on.
Can I jump in with a comment there, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
That I've used that and it's really great. Although sometimes the automatic transcription can come out with a humorous translation, but that's why you have to do a proof on it. However, what happened to me was I sent out my project file for color, and then I worked on the same project file to add the captions, and then I wanted to remerge the captions with the project file that I got back with a color. And I highlighted everything. I did a right click. I didn't see any way to copy. Fortunately, Eric set me straight and told me, yes, just hit the Control C, and it did do a copy. The important thing is, though, you need to make sure you get your timeline indicator on the right spot so that the captions line up in your merged copy to match what you did on your own with a separate copy. But yeah, it works great. Just proofread it, because I had some funny things where a name was pronounced wrong. Well, it was pronounced right, but it didn't recognize it as a name, and it took it as a common English word, and it came out rather funny.
Well, yeah, and I'll show you a quick way. I mean, you can easily, use the search and replace to fix that kind of stuff if it's, if it happens over and over again. And I'll kind of show that in a second here with one of the.
I did discover that, but I left one Easter egg in there to see if any of the proofers caught the fact that the translation didn't do it right.
So yeah, I absolutely love this workflow. It is probably one of the best things since. I mean, I'm trying to think back to like when I was as excited, and I want to say it was like when they introduced the GPU acceleration. I mean, to me, it was that big of a game-changing kind of thing. So, okay, so moving on. So we did transcripts. We've talked about captions. You all know how the captions work. We've talked about that. Let's come over to the third tab, which is graphics here, and I'm going to come over to this right here. So I've got some video here. Again, this is more of my wife talking, and I've got a lower third for her. It's the boss. And then up here, I've got a little graphic transition, our Nest presenter. Oops, well, I'm gonna have to fix that. And then I got another.
Predict your actual performance of the policy.
That's just some. I got a typo there. We'll have to fix that. And then Nest presenter is bad again. Crap. I don't know. I must let DJ do these graphics. So in these kind of situations, what you would do is you would have to, go in here and use your text tool and correct this and then correct it over here. But what Adobe has done is created a new panel called the graphics panel. And if you notice, it's showing all the different graphics that we have on our timeline here. So I have the lower third, I have our nest presenter, some guy, the bad nest presenter again, and then another dude. So we can go through and fix some of this stuff. So there's not really anything I'm going to fix on my wife's title because she is the boss. But nest presenters, that really should be next presenter. So what we can do is kind of what I was just talking about with Bob. I've got 2 of those nest presenters that are messed up. So all I have to do is search for up in this little panel right here for nest. And then I'm going to click on the replace button. And I'm going to replace it with next. And I'm going to replace all, not just one. And so there we go. It's there and it's there. So that, again, that for me, I don't know how many of you have done lower thirds and had somebody's title change or had something else come up that, needed a word that needed to be changed or whatever. And you had it in like multiple titles. This will then change it and it'll ripple through all those titles. So it's really a handy thing for making corrections. Same with this. We notice that I've spelt random wrong. And you can see over here, I've got a little red line under it, which, as we all know in our modern world, there's a red line under some text. What does that mean? It's spelled wrong. So now we have spell check. Thank God, finally. So from somebody whose mother literally gave him a bad speller's dictionary when he was in junior high. Yeah, thanks for that self-esteem boosting thing. But let's face it, I'm a horrible speller. I'm not gonna lie. I finally have spell checking inside Premiere. All I have to do, as we all do, is right click on it, and there's random. And that's what I want to change. You can see down here, I can tell Premiere to learn this horrible spelling of random, or I can just click random and it'll fix it. You can go up here in your settings and you've got spell check settings and you can choose your language here. So this is just set up for English right now, either Canadian, Liberia, Philippines, or United States. And then if you do have words that you need it to learn, weird company names and things like that you just don't want to keep seeing, tagged with the bad or misspelled word thing, you can click those here and tell Premiere to learn that and add it to its dictionary, or you can tell it to forget it when that client dumps you and you never want to hear from them ever again. You can add that there. So spell check is super, super nice. The other nice thing too is you can just come over here. Now, again, before we always had to, click on our title tool, click over here in the word, and then, do all that kind of, now you just do everything over here. So I can just click, I can fix dude and boom, we're done. So everything inside this new graphics panel, allows you to, make those changes, make your adjustments. The other nice thing too is you can notice, if you notice, I've got my lower thirds on video track 2, and I've got these graphics next presenter on track 3. So let's say I need to just look at my graphics, my transitional graphics, not my lower thirds. You can actually filter, and you can filter by track. So in my graphics pane, I just want to look at the graphics, the transitional graphics. Excuse me. So right here, you can see I'm just seeing those 2 now. So I can really focus in if I've got things separated out and work on the stuff that just needs to be fixed. Let's see, Marcy's got a question. Does it indicate how many times a title is used in case you've misspelled something multiple times, but you don't know? Well, for this, are you talking about spell check? Because if you do have spell check, it'll catch the misspelling each time. So what I would do then is if you misspelled, if you misspelled random throughout the entire video, I would just do the search and replace and then do the correction there, because it will go through and find all the places that you misspelled random and then correct it with the right spelling. Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, so this helps you just sort of focus on the stuff that you want to see. If you just want to focus on your lower thirds, boom, there they are. And it's nice, just by clicking on it, it takes you to those points in the timeline to be able to, you know, get those things to see how it looks up on the screen and kind of go from there. By the way, these, as you can tell, are just Mogerts. They're free things that you know, Adobe includes with them. So I just use those. You can see I've got all my graphics panel over here. I've got all the different things that you can adjust with those, the color and the text and all that kind of stuff. So, so yeah, so that's the updating in the graphics panel. I'm just gonna check my notes here. I think I covered everything I need to do. All right. Let me go.
Eric?
Yes, go ahead.
Question on the, you mentioned Mogerts. If you wanted to change, say you have that bar and you wanted to, then the client says, no, I don't want a green bar, I want an orange bar. Would you be able to change that in the graphics panel, or would you have to go through and
Like that?
Yeah, right. You'd have to do it manually on each one.
Well, okay, so that's a good question. So it right now, the way, because I just used I used the Mogert and just kind of, they're all separate Mogerts at this point. What you could do is create one and then make it a, I'm forgetting now. I don't use them enough to remember. And if DJ's on, he might remember what they're called. But maybe he doesn't do it in Premiere enough. But you can, it's something like calling it like a master effect or a master
properties.
Something like that. Yeah. You can create one to be that and then duplicate that all along your timeline. And at that point, if you have to make that global change, it will do it it'll ripple down and do it to all of them. If you just if you drag a Mogert down and then you kind of use the Alt command like I did to create a copy of it, it doesn't do that effect. So yeah, the proper way to do it, if you're going to use a lower third like this multiple times in a video, is to make it, and you know what, I'll find out and I'll put up on the Facebook page what it's called.
Okay.
Maybe even do a tutorial on how that works, but you essentially assign it that, and then, yeah, then it will ripple down through all of them when you make that one change. So it is possible to do that. I just didn't do that for this.
In After Effects, they're called master properties. In Premiere, it looks like they're called master text styles.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like in Adobe FrameMaker. They do the same thing. You have like reference pages and like that. You do the same thing.
Yep.
Similar. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. So let's go over to graphics. So going back over to the graphics panel here, let me show you what we can do. So I've got a new icon here in my toolbar, and it's a rectangle tool. And this is, if you're a Photoshop user or After Effects user, Illustrator, I think I use Illustrator enough, so I'm assuming it's there. But you would probably recognize it. So if I click on this rectangle tool, I can make a rectangle. Yay. I can come and once I create that, I can come in here. Let me come to edit. Oops, got to click the pointer tool here. Let me click on it. So I can come through, and let's give it a better color than gray, like a nice red. But something new that I can do with this, that's kind of nifty. Let me give a stroke to that just because it makes this a little bit cooler to look at. So I've got a nice little stroke here, but let's say I want to round those corners. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I actually have tried to do this using masks and it freaking sucks. But now, thank God, Adobe finally added a little tool that will give you some nice rounded corners there just by dragging these little points. And there you go. You can kind of go as round as you want. And that's super handy for making lower thirds. You can just get your little, get your lower third there, and then you can just type on your text, name, and add that on there. So yeah, very cool little thing here. And they've even thrown in a polygon tool. So I can make a nice little triangle here, which is sort of the default. But if you look over here, over in your essential graphics panel, you've got this little thing. So this is how many sides do you want to add to it. So right now it defaults to 3, but if I drag this over, you can see I can kind of keep going. If I go all the way up, I get a nice little circle here to 50, which I think 50 is as high as it goes. But yeah, you can kind of just keep going and get what you need. Doing something for the defense contractor, nice Pentagon there. And then you've got the same things too with the points to round the edges. So you can do that with that as well. So that's a very nice little thing to have for making graphics. Again, time saving, and it's very, very, very handy. So it saves me, at least for me, from having to go to Photoshop that, most of these tools are, and it's a lot easier to create these things in Photoshop. So I was creating Photoshop files and bringing them in. So let's see, let me go to the text engine here. I wanted to show something about that. Now this, let's click on here. This is something that, so last year, was it last year, year before last, I had a project where I had 3 videos from a client, and they wanted each of the 3 videos translated into 14, oh, no, wait, no, it was 15 or 16 different languages. And so I had to create subtitles for all of them based on SRT files. But some of the languages were Hebrew, Arabic, and another language. DJ, what was the other language that I called you for help for? Was it
Hindi?
Hindi, thank you. And the Hindi was the tough one because I really struggled. Premiere wouldn't display the characters correctly, and I had to go do it I had to actually do it in Photoshop. I think create some of them because Photoshop was the only one that would really do the character set right, and both After Effects and Premiere you had to choose between Western characters or Eastern characters, or there was settings you had to change. It was a real pain in the neck to navigate all this. And if you had to go like Hebrew and Arabic, which read from right to left, it was a real nightmare. Well, Adobe has just kind of gotten rid of all that stuff and created a universal text engine. So now you don't need to make those switches if you're doing any kind of other language. And you have these buttons down in here, which will be set it up for. So this is left to right for us Westerners. And for those folks in other parts of the world where you go right to left, let me here where you can see the text. I can be typing, oops, sorry, try that again. You can see now I can type the other way. So that is a huge help. And that would have saved me so much pain and suffering had those 2 things been implemented at that time. So to me, that's a huge thing for, when you deal with international projects and you've got multiple languages and things like that, having that universal text engine, and then having that ability to go right to left, left to right for text is awesome. So that's that. Let me see, before I jump over, any questions on any of that before I jump over into some more stuff?
Yeah, Eric, I sent a note, but I have a misspelling. If only I had a way to correct misspellings. Has Adobe given us the ability to just do a keyboard shortcut between the selection tool and the type tool? That's just a pain to have to use your mouse every time. Is there a way to shorthand the selection tool?
So if you're on the selection tool, technically you're supposed to be able to hit T, and that's your type tool.
Okay. And then how do I get back to the other tool?
Well, that's the real trick now, isn't it? You got to hit the key.
That's what I say. So that's still a mouse thing, even though a V, I guess, if I'm on there, because
yeah. But I mean, if you wanted to, well, let's see. I'm trying to think about if you could add. No, I mean, if you do type, let's see, because that gets me too. So I mean, I feel your pain on that one.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if they had upgraded. All right. Well, when you talk to your fine folks there, maybe you can.
Yes, I will pass that along and see what they say. Maybe there is a way to do it, and I just
Yeah, I haven't found it yet, but okay, thank you.
Yeah, Marcy brings up a good idea. You could remap it with Alt or Control. That might be one way to go. Instead of it being just V, Alt V, Control V, or some weird, which I'm sure is already, well, Alt V is
Alt V.
Isn't that paste? Or no, that's Control V.
Is Control V. Well, on a Mac, it'd be something like Option V.
Command.
I'll look into that. I might be able to remap it. Have you remapped it, Marcy?
As long as you don't start typing. So yeah, I'll bring that up though. I'm sure Adobe's just going to say, well, remap it. It's like, all right, yeah, thanks. But yeah, that would be a nice, handy thing to have. So,
all right, thanks.
Okay, so let me switch over to beta version of Premiere. Just out of curiosity, let me go back to my my screen here. How many people are using or playing with the beta version of Premiere? Anybody? Okay, I see Carl's hand. I don't see anybody else's hand. I don't see anybody else. So I'm going to assume all of you who don't have video going that you said no. So let's come in here. So one thing that Adobe's working on, and I did this I kind of did a little video to talk about this. They've made some changes to the new import and export screen. So I'll kind of go over some of those changes that they've made. This still hasn't been released yet. I'm kind of feeling that they're close. I don't know, I don't know. They haven't told me anything, but I really feel like NAB release is probably when we'll see this kind of get implemented. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I actually kind of dig it. So when you open up Premiere now and you get started, you're going to see an import tab when you click create a new project. And this is that import tab. And so basically all of this media right here is sort of what it defaults to currently in beta, which is all this sample footage they put on your system. But you can see over here, you've got your devices. And this is my local drive where I keep all my stuff. It's another internal drive on my system. What I don't like, and I'm still asking for, is I want little twirl downs, but I understand what they're thinking. Is just click on it and you've got everything right here. What do you need the twirl down for? I want the twirl down. But from this, you can see all the files, all the folders that are on that drive. And you can see I've got one here. So I'm going to come to media and I'm going to import. I'm going to click on this and you can see down at the bottom here, it's highlighted this music file. So I'm going to import that in. And then let's see, I want to bring in something else here. Let's just bring in a clip here. I got a question. What if you use list view? If you use list view, it's just going to list everything here. I mean, yeah, you could do list view, but I don't know. For some reason, having that twirl down here just makes me like I can click it and I can just dive right into it. I don't have to kind of go through all that. But yes, list view would do that too. That's a good point. Maybe I'm just looking for something to complain about. So anyway, so let's come back here. Let's just bring in another footage here. Let's bring in another shot of my wife. Because why not? So you can see down here, I'm building. I can click a bunch of different things here. You can see these are all the clips that I'm sort of building to bring in. And if you click over here, or look over here, I should say, you'll see that I've got copy media, new bin, and create sequence. So copy media is pretty much if this footage, for instance, let's say you go out on a shoot, you got your card reader plugged into your system, and you want to get the footage from the card reader onto your internal hard drive or maybe a different external hard drive. This is perfect for that because what Premiere is going to do is you're going to look at their camera card, select all your clips, and then choose to, right now it's set same as project, but wherever you want to put it to, you could choose to do that here. And then you could choose to do it copy with verification, copy without verification. Copy with verification is going to take longer, but it's going to be safer because it's going to make sure that all that data is accurate and right. And then it will actually just copy everything from your camera card to wherever you tell it to and bring it into your project for you to start working on. So that's basically what Prelude used to do for you, or still does. I was using Prelude today. Still love that little program. I'll be sad to see it when it goes. But this is a good thing to have here, and it does save opening up an additional app. The thing that when they first previewed this, that I was like asking for, and I actually was on a call with Adobe when they kind of previewed this for a bunch of us, and this was the first thing I said is, you got to give me the option to put my footage into a bin. I don't want to just open up, once I go over into Premiere and all the footage is just everywhere, no clutter. And so they added this in. And so now I can create a bin here. I got to turn it on, and I can create a bin, give it a name. So we'll call it, media files, because I'm real creative. And if I want to create a sequence with all this clip on it, with all these footage or all the clips that I've brought in on it, I can do that, but I don't really want to do that. So once I've got all that set, all I have to do is click import, and it will import all of that stuff in for me. Let's click it. And then boom, you can see in here are all the files that I've got that I just brought in, and I can start editing. So that's, and then if I want to come back, let's say I want to create another bin, I've got a second camera, let's say, and I want to bring all that footage in, and I want to create a new bin and, go through that same process again. I can totally start over, create a new bin and then do that. And Premiere will do all that in the background. So I really like this. I will admit, excuse me, as a long time Premiere editor, like most editors, I'm resistant a little bit to change. I like the way things were working, even though my whole job is to constantly change things on a timeline. don't change my NLE. Don't change the tool that I use to change things with. But I will admit, I really do. I'm really digging this. I really like it, and I'm excited to start using it on a regular basis. So yeah, so there's that. So let's get into the edit mode, and I'll show you a couple things here that are new. So first thing I'm going to show you is they've got this thing called auto tone, and what I'm going to do is go into my color mode. And so let me show you. So workspaces are now, remember before we had all those workspaces that were up here? Yeah, all that clutter's gone now. They've all put it in this nice little drawer. So I can drop this down, and there is my color. So I'm gonna click on that. So auto tone basically looks at your image and says, how can Premiere using Sensei, because that's the cool thing that that's the thing that all the cool kids are using. How can Sensei look at your image and improve it and make it pop just a little bit better? And that's kind of what it does. But as I shot this footage with and shot it in S-Log, it doesn't really work with S-Log. You've got to have a sort of proper, Rec 709 image for it to really work with. So I'm going to just add a LUT real quick to it. So we'll just pick this Alexa LUT, and that looks pretty good. It looks a little green. There's a little bit of some stuff blown out. I don't know. It could look a little bit better. So let's see what the auto tone does. Oops, wait, did I not select it here? Okay, why isn't it doing anything? I know it worked in rehearsal. There we go.
We're supposed to rehearse?
I do. Okay, so there you can see all these sliders moved. It made some adjustments. Let's let me click this. Let me click reset here, so you can kind of look at it there, and then I'll click at it with the auto, so you can kind of see it changed the image slightly. I'm just kind of undo, redo, undo, redo. So the image was a little bit green, so it kind of corrected for that. It adjusted, brought down some highlights, adjusted the whites a little bit. And I can still go in and sort of fine tune and say, well, those whites are still a little bright, but it did the best it could. So, with this image, it didn't really do too much. Let's see if I go full screen. Let's kind of go undo, redo. It's kind of making a little bit of a difference there. So your mileage may vary with this feature. So it's really going to depend on the kind of footage that you bring into it. But, it's worth a shot just to, bring your footage in and hit the button, see what Sensei thinks would make your footage better, and you may get something you like, or you may get something like, what the hell is that? But either way, it's a nice little feature just to sort of, maybe give your footage a little bit more of a pop and see what it looks like, and see if it can improve slightly. If you're not a color grader like I am, anything that can help me get that much better of an image, I'm willing to give a chance to. So, I think it's a feature that they're still working on. So I'm kind of curious to see how it develops and what it ultimately does once it's ready for prime time. Again, this is in beta version of Premiere, which you can download through the Creative Cloud app and play with this yourself. But yeah, that's one nice thing here. But let's get into the other thing here I wanted to show. Let's go back to let me go back to my regular workspace here. All right, so I'm going to drag this clip down here. All right, so some of you have heard me sing hallelujah about this. For those of you who haven't, you're about to. So I'm sure all of you know about the remix feature in Audition. It is the greatest thing that Audition has ever produced. It's an amazing feature, and it saves a ton of time. And I'll never forget being at Adobe Max and talking to the Audition folks, like right after it came out, and saying, hey man, that feature's amazing. The guy's like, thanks, that's great. I'm like, you need to put it in Premiere. He goes, we just made it. Can't you just let us revel in the fact we got it in Audition? And I'm like, no, man, it needs to be in Premiere right away. And he goes, well, give us time. Well, that time has finally come. Remix is here in beta, and I'm hopeful that come NAB release for Premiere, it's going to be in Premiere. So for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, let me show you how this wizardry and sorcery happens. I'm going to click audio panel here. And for those of you who do know, prepare to be wowed. Okay, so I've got a music track here. And say it was the best music track, just said it was a music track. Okay, and this music track is super long. It is like 7 minutes, I think. And who ever needs a 7-minute music track? So I'm going to make this, I'm going to designate it in my audio or essential sound panel as music. I'm going to turn on my duration features and boom, right there, baby. Remix. Love it. Okay, so as you can see, the target duration is automatically defaults to the duration of the track. So I want to make this a lot less. So I can change it here. You can see I can hover over this and hold my mouse key down and adjust the time here back and forth. The other thing I can do is if you're feeling like, I don't want to do that, that's for suckers. Totally agree with you. You got to do it like all the cool kids do. You come down here in your toolbar and you use the remix tool. And now I can just drag this guy. I want it to be that long. And it's that long. So there we go. There's the waveform. Now you can see here, all these white lines, for those of you who know remix very well, all those white lines are where the edits actually happened. So if I play the track back, let's just go to where the edits are. Sounded pretty good to me. Good. As my buddy in college used to say, that's good enough for the girls we date. No, that's actually phenomenal. That is, it does a really great job. And if I click on here, you can see there's a customize selection here, and you got segments and variations. So segments will adjust your remix by using more or fewer edits. So if you want to kind of keep, you don't want it to cut the song up too much, you can reduce those, excuse me, you can reduce those edits. Now, for a song like what I've got here, where it's 7 minutes long and I'm cutting it down to, 240, there's going to be a lot of edits. But if you've got a 3-minute track and, you just got to get it to 2 minutes, you can kind of say, okay, I don't want too many edits, because remix will go in and sort of slice things up. And it does it sort of arbitrarily where it thinks will make the best, best sounding edit, the best sounding version, I should say. And sometimes it can give you kind of weird results, especially if there's lyrics in there. And so adjusting the segments helps you kind of alleviate that and kind of reshape it to where you can kind of keep it, kind of to a degree, customize it and get the parts of the song that you might want. Marshall, yes, it is only in the beta for right now. Hopefully, like I said, it'll be coming into the release version. My guess would be NAB, but I have no clue. I'm not really sure. But that's my guess. Variations. So variations will, again, is another adjustment you can make that will, kind of same kind of thing, help you, it says adjust remix to follow on different elements of a song when creating edits. So I'm trying to remember exactly, but variation, if you've got, I think that's for if you've got lyrics and things like that, and you want it to sort of you want to keep a certain part of the song. Like I did one of these, I did a video for a client. We used that song Right Now by Van Halen, and I used remix for that. And remix was sort of chopping, the music all sounded great, but the lyrics were kind of jumping all over the place. So variation sort of helped a little bit with that, and the segments, kind of mixing those, sliding those around and remixing it and kind of seeing how, until I got something that worked where the lyrics kind of made sense and the music made sense and it all sounded good, really kind of came in handy there. So, but again, remix is for retiming music. I mean, it's just a gift from heaven. And, I can't wait to start, having it in Premiere as opposed to like I do now, having to go out to audition. But you can see, it's super fast. Like I can just drag it and boom, it just retimes so quickly. Doing another Crystal Pepsi ad. Not sure I get that. Did I do a Crystal Pepsi ad?
No, right now.
Oh, I forgot about that. No, I did not. No, this was for a corporate client. So
I'm there with you, Marcy. I get you. Okay.
I never had Crystal Pepsi. I don't remember that ad campaign. I would never drink Crystal Pepsi, just the real hardcore Pepsi, the kind with all the real sugar in it. So Anyway, so that is Remix. Super, super cool. And just love it. So, all right, moving on. Last thing I'm going to talk about here, sticking in the beta version, is we're going to come over to the export tab. Now, not too much has changed in the export tab. If you saw the video that I did a while back about these changes, not too much has changed in here. It's pretty much the same thing. For those of you who haven't seen that, this is the new export window. You can see over here, you have a bunch of sort of presets for exporting. And then you have all the things that you would normally find in your export tab. So you have your location, where you're going to save it, the file name, your preset, of all these different things. You can come here to H.264, now, and then you've got your video settings, your audio settings, and you've got all the things that you used to have. Still got maximum render at maximum depth and use maximum render quality. God forbid we lose those things. But you've got all those same things here. But what I really like about this is you've got these things over here. So typical workflow for me: finish a project for a client, lock edit, we're all done. I create two versions. I usually create a YouTube version for the client for them to post up on their social medias and whatnot. And then I create a Cineform file for me, that's the archive version. And what I normally do is I have to go to the export window in Premiere. I do create two encodes and queue them to media encoder, and then set it up to render while I usually go out to lunch, or go to the bathroom, get something to eat, whatever. But now you can do that. What you can do is you can set your media file, which would be like what my Cineform file would be. I can create the YouTube version for the client. So click on that, and you can see that I can go in and adjust the settings, change the settings between these two versions. So the YouTube one could be optimized for YouTube. This could be my Cineform file. And I can just change the output here to where's QuickTime? And yeah, I probably just want that version of Cineform. And then boom, I can export it out. I can click export. I can still send it to media encoder, or I can just come down here and click export. Now, the nice thing about it is, if you remember in Premiere, to do two versions of something straight out of Premiere, you had to do them one at a time. Well, by doing this, by setting these two versions and now clicking export, Premiere will export out the media file first, and then it will then go ahead and automatically do the one for YouTube, and then you're all done. It does them both now inside Premiere. So, is it that big of a deal, to not send it to media encoder, do it here? It's not that big of a difference, but it's just, I don't want to have to sit there and wait for media encoder to open up and then it to send the file over and, do its little communication, song and dance, whatever. It's like, if I just want to get going, like, hey man, I got a lunch date, I want to get out of here. So boop, 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 hit export, and then boom, Premiere will just take it. I don't have to wait anymore. I like it for that. It's very, very handy. So can you still add external presets like Wista? Yes, you still can. So you can see here by clicking preset, it says import presets. So as long as you've got a preset created somewhere, see you, Craig. Thanks for joining us. You can see you can import whatever presets you have. There are more presets here, and they've got a whole preset manager now. And this preset manager lists all these different presets. So yeah, if you have presets that are made and that you want to import in, you've got them saved somewhere, you can totally do that. And that's another thing I kind of forgot to mention was the preset manager. So you've got all these different presets here. So it's really, really handy to sort of kind of, what I like is that it sort of just gives me the presets that I normally use. Like this is for my master version, this is 9 times out of 10 what I'm using. And so it kind of, I don't have to cycle through all of the different presets and find that right one. It's just boom, that's right there. And, I can add that in and it'll get listed there as well. So Bob saying, I thought ME did a better encode. No, that's, as far as I know, that's not true. Unless, we get somebody from Adobe on here to say otherwise. Media encoder is using the same engine that Premiere is using to encode. So media encoder is not going to give you any better encode than Premiere would. Does it save a batch list like encoder does in case it crashes? That's a good question. I don't believe it would. So that would be a case where using media encoder would be a better option. So yeah, if you're going to be encoding like 50 files or 20 files or a whole bunch of files, and you want to make sure that, if something goes wonky, you can easily call that back up. That would be a case for media encoder. I think for, if you're not on a massive time crunch and you're just doing 2 or 3 versions, I think this would probably be, a better way to go. So, but yeah, that is a good point to make. I don't believe that it does save the list. Okay. I think that is all that I got. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And any other questions?
Yeah, critical question. Is that Tempest running on your game console in the back there?
Good eye. Yes, Jeff, that is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12-in-1 arcade machine with 12 classic Atari games from my childhood. Asteroids Deluxe, Tempest, Centipede, Missile Command, one of my all-time favorites. Major Havoc, which has become one of my favorites. Crystal Castles, I was never that big a fan of, but I kind of like it. And then Millipede, Liberator, and Quantum. So
no Defender on it. The game.
Okay, so no, because that wasn't an Atari machine. However, I think they just released a Defender. Somebody released a Defender like coin op like that for for your home. And yeah, I'm gonna get all over that because I love Defender. So.
Yeah, I think I bought the company at one point.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who that was. I have it my new Atari VCS game machine that I have at home that came out like a year or 2 ago. I actually have that game there that I can play it on, the arcade version of it. And oh my gosh. Anyway, we digress. So
yeah. Anyway, I saw Tempest. I hadn't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. Anytime you want to play, man, come on over. We can do a tournament.
Thanks.
So. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you all being here. I don't remember what's on the list for next month. Do you, DJ? Nope. Okay.
Hey,
well,
Eric, no idea.
I've got it written down on the computer right over there, I swear. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email us, hit us up in the on the Facebook page. And yeah, we will see you all next month.
Can I add one quick thing for Media Pros?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're going to have a town hall. In fact, Mr. Mark is going to be one of the people hosting that. And we are setting the date for that. So keep an eye on the website. We have an event page up on the website and it went out in the newsletter. But we will we'll be keeping you guys informed. So please mark that on your calendars because we want to hear from the production community as to what we can do to help you guys out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff. I just want to say one thing here in closing. Media Pros, I love this group. Obviously I wouldn't do it if I didn't. But Media Pros is a great group. If you're on this call and you're involved in production here in San Diego Media Pros is a must to join from a networking standpoint, from an information standpoint. You need to be there to make the connections, to get work, and to find, to be a part of the community, and just to broaden your knowledge. I mean, just like this group, we try to teach you as much as we can about post-production and Adobe apps and editing. Media Pros, if you go out and shoot, do any kind of facet of production, Media Pros is a group that you will definitely benefit from. And you can watch all the YouTube videos you want about how to do things in production, but I guarantee you're not going to learn as much from going out and talking face-to-face with, well, at some point, hopefully we'll get face-to-face again. But learning face-to-face from people, making connections with professionals who will actually hire you to come out and do work possibly. It's a valuable resource in this town. And I would encourage everybody to come to that meeting and make your voice heard about how that group can better benefit you, because the living virtually is no way to work and no way to live. You gotta have human contact, and that group is tremendous. So that's my little pitch at the end. So, and
we're in any events you're putting up on Facebook or you're mentioning, I'm trying to put onto the other events page on the Media Pros website. So the stuff you mentioned tonight will be up there.
Awesome. All right. With that, everybody, you all take care. I'm going to race home so I can start my next Sundance film. We will see you next month. Bye, everybody.